Kim, I know you're no stranger to implementing your system with a new team like you did last year, but how's that process been with this group this summer so far?
So far, so good. We're working on playing faster, getting comfortable playing with each other and comfortable playing at pace. I think one thing that helped last year is I knew I needed to tweak some things over the summer, so we started to put everything in a little bit sooner, which I think will pay off.
Kind of going off of that, Coach, was there like an aha moment where you really felt like they have your style of play down yet?
No. And I don't honestly, it will be a while before I have that aha moment. They have some bright spots, but we also have a lot of work to do.
What's been your favorite part of this off-season?
Just getting to know the players. They're the favorite part of my day. Like, there's a lot of other stuff, a lot of extra stuff to do, but when you get in the gym with your players and you have a team like this that makes you laugh every single day and they work hard every day and they embrace what you bring to the table, they're an absolute joy to be around.
Where have they improved the most since coming here?
I think their fitness and their mindset has gotten like the biggest growth, and then everything else will take care of itself once you have that.
When you first got here, what was kind of one of the areas where you felt was most lacking, and how do you feel like the transfers that you brought in have filled in those gaps?
Yeah, I think we are deeper. We're a really deep team. We're very balanced. We have a lot of athletes that can play the style of play that we want. We're still working on playing at pace, but I do think we have the tools to do it.
How many players do you feel like you're going to play on every single game?
We would like to play 10 to 11.
Kim, do you think it's harder to evaluate your recruiting? You have a unique system. You obviously will recruit to that system. So whereas the players might not be as highly rated here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to be a very, very, very special type of player to play this way. And if you're the number 3 recruit, that's just an example, or whatever recruit, top 10, maybe you don't fit, right? Maybe we just don't recruit you, but maybe you're number 77 and you're perfect for us. And so those are just numbers I'm throwing out. But it has to be a style of play thing. And you need athletes that can score, that can go downhill and transition, that want to play fast.
With wanting to play 10 to 11 players per game, just how do you make sure that all of them are at the same preparation level and at the same caliber to be able to still have the same depth out on the court?
Yeah, I think you do a lot of individual workouts, you do a lot of skill workouts, you watch a lot of film. I think as coaches today, we were all watching film. I watched film with a lot of individual players, so did our staff. So you're just teaching and then putting them through like maybe a little 10-minute one-on-one workout before practice and then coaching them all the same. When you want to play positionless and you want to play that way, then you kind of have to coach a little bit differently.
With the previous roster, how do you take players who maybe necessarily don't 100% fit your style and work them in for this first season?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have embraced it incredibly well. I think they like it. I think they're having fun. And that's just part of it. You just come with a new system and you just teach it rep over and over and over. And I was telling our staff the other day, I said, I promise you the mistakes we're making now, like they want to run back on defense. Like, we will never be into just January, we will never be able to get them to run back. If we want to call our press off, we'll never be able to do it. And so it just takes time.
How have your veterans like Puckett and Darby really adjusted to the system and continued to be the leaders for this group?
They are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. They look like different people. They act like different people. They play incredibly hard. They have a very high ceiling. They have been leaders, but they've also been leaders just by being in the gym. I mean, Sarah gets in the gym almost every day. And so she wants it and she's hungry.
Obviously, the pace you want to play requires another level of conditioning. Just what was that first week like with them, getting them used to the conditioning level that you're going to attack this summer?
Yeah, it was tough, and it's continued to be tough. And the thing about playing for me is like once you meet the standard, we raise the standard. And so they are still working on that, and we condition and we run a lot. They know that, but we've had a lot of great alumni come in and tell them it's worth it. And so I think that helps.
Kim, if you have a player who's really good, obviously you want to score a lot of points, shoot threes. If you have a player that's really adept at those things, but maybe not as good on defense, with that pressure defense, are you able to bring them up, or are you pretty much what you have is what you got, and you got to work around it?
Yeah, that's kind of where the film and the skill comes into play. So maybe if you're a step slow, then we show you angles. And then maybe you don't have the speed, but you just take a step back and you have better angles. And so we try to work through all of those things. You can hide some players in the system, right? If you're not the greatest on defense, then you get in the back of the press. If you can't necessarily shoot threes, then we're going to have you run to the rim. And so there's really a role for everyone.
You mentioned you had some former players, and I know you had Michelle Marciniak, Gwen Jackson, and recently.
Yeah.
Just What's it been like forming those alum relations for you and getting to have them in the gym?
I think it's incredibly important because the alum is the reason, and Pat Summit and everything of the legacy is the reason we have what we have today. And it's the reason the program means what it means. And it's the reason a lot of people in the gym right now chose to be here. And so having them come and watch practice and getting to know them in a real, authentic way is huge for us.
What do you think having alum stop by practice does for the growth of the players? Do they play harder when the alum are there? Do they get advice, things like that?
Yeah, they definitely get advice. They ask really good questions. They ask what it takes. The alums have a very great perspective because they've sat there, right? And when you're coaching 18 to 22-year-olds, they don't have any perspective outside of this, and everyone that comes back does. And so we, as coaches, can only say so much, but when people have actually been where they have been, come back and say it, it really makes our job a lot easier.
What players that were here last year do you feel like are kind of made for this system?
Yeah, I think Sarah Puckett is going to be great at this. I think she's going to thrive. Talasia Cooper is really good. I know she didn't play. I know Kanaya Boyd didn't play, but she's going to be really good for this. Tess Darby is going to be really good at this because she can fire them away. And so Jewel Spear is going to be really good at this because she can shoot and she can drive. And so there wasn't anyone that was here that I had a conversation with and said, you're going to struggle doing this. Because had that conversation happened, they probably wouldn't be here. I mean, Jill looks great. And so they're all really embracing it.
Kim, why do you think Sarah Puckett would be good in this system?
Because she can shoot. I know she didn't shoot a ton last year, but she can shoot, she can drive, she's mean. And, you know, it's a mindset to play this way. And so she's going to play hard every night. She's going to go get rebounds, and she's going to build people around her to do the same.
What about the quickness on defense?
Yeah,
She's quick enough.
she's quick enough. Yeah, she's absolutely quick enough. She's smart enough, right? So if she's guarding someone, we do match up to the closest man. So if she's guarding someone that's a point guard, she's smart enough to take the angle and make the cheat.
How fun is it to see Puckett make that flip or switch and become fierce or angry on the court?
Yeah, it's great. It's great for me because then I don't have to do it, right? Like sometimes she will beat me to it, and that's kind of what you want as a coach is you want a player-led team, and you want them to hold each other accountable and say, hey, this is the standard. That's not what we do here. And when it's coming from them and not from me, then we're already doing things right. And she does a phenomenal job at doing that.
Kanaya was in a unique position this spring. I know she probably, she said she kind of felt some pressure to impress you a little bit because you weren't the coach who recruited her, and she's with a lot of players. Most of them are a couple years older than her. Could you sense that? And you're like, what was your conversation like with her to kind of maybe make her relax a little bit?
Yeah, her first day was terrible. It was awful. And then she's just progressively gotten better and better and better. And so you could definitely tell she had some nerves. She hasn't touched a ball in a year. And so that's a hard situation to be in. And so she has embraced it. She has learned to work hard. And anytime you have a freshman that's kind of the only one, sometimes they got to get kicked around a while. And she really got kicked around for about a week and then figured it out. And now she's holding people accountable and she's doing what she needs to do.
When you were looking for assistant coaches, what were some of the qualities you felt like you needed for them to kind of complement you as a coach?
Yeah, I needed people that were energetic, people that could do a lot of skill work. I wanted people that knew things that I didn't. I know I have some blind spots in the SEC and some people that had some strong SEC, especially SEC recruiting experience. And then I had a good core group that had been with me for a long time that I wanted to bring with me.
Kim, do you use different types of presses, or do you stick with like a 2-2-1 or man, or how do you?
We have about 3 or 4 presses that will shake it up in between, and we'll base it based off of scout and each team. So I'm not, hey, this is what we're going to do. Whatever team we have, some groups are better at a 2-2-1, some groups are better at a 1-2-2, and so seeing what their strengths are.
So the players are learning all these different presses.
They're learning a lot. Yeah, they're learning a lot. They're learning how to play offense completely differently and defense completely differently.
I'm sure it's been challenging at times for them and maybe some frustration. Just like, what is their response when it is like challenging to grasp what you're trying to implement that day?
Yeah, I think that everyone handles it a little bit differently, and that's still something we're working through as a group. As a coach, I really like to frustrate them. I like to challenge them. I want our practices to be harder than our games, and I want us to be able to get through hard things together before we get to the games and there's crowds there. So sometimes we have meltdowns, sometimes we have leaders pick them up, sometimes we have people go silent, and we're working on fixing all of those things.
If you had a blueprint of where you wanted to be back in April when you got to this end of summer, would you say that you guys are where you wanted to be right now?
We're close. You're limited hours. There's only so much you can do. I wish we would have done a little more skill, but you kind of have to sacrifice. Are you going to do more skill, or are you really going to put your stuff in? And we chose to put our stuff in. And so once we get into like our 20 hours, we'll pick up the skill again.
Kim, have you had any chance to look at the rest of the SEC
No. And I won't. You know, we'll do it. I'm not the type of person that will look ahead and look at other people's rosters and start to get nervous there. I'll do it the day before we play. And that's my assistant's job. They can look at all that and figure all that out.
What excites you about this non-conference schedule this year?
I think it's a nice mix of challenging, but it also takes us a really long time to learn how to play this way. I would say of my 9 years of coaching, our November record is probably our worst record because it takes time. And so I think that we need some room on our schedule where we can figure it out and we can grow and we can get things clicking. I think we have a challenging enough schedule, but we also have enough schedule where we can figure those things out before we get to SEC play.
That being said, how important is it for the team and the fan base as a whole to have patience as you try to implement what
Yeah,
you're doing?
it's huge. And as the more media I do, the more I will say it takes time. It takes time, it takes time. And I don't know what my win count is, but I know that I would say a handful of them, at least 15 of the losses have been in November and December. So it does take time. And you got to have those conversations with your players too.
Is there any specific goal that you're kind of preaching to the team to try to meet this year?
We have a whole list of goals that they have kind of come up with, and I'll keep those internally, but they're right on the mark of what they should be.
How have you enjoyed being on Tennessee so far?
It's great. It's great. It's a pinch me moment every single day, but every time you get in the gym, I just am comfortable in the gym, right? This is not really my wheelhouse, but every time I'm in the gym and I get to be coaching basketball, like they make it great. And I think I hit the lottery with this team just because they're great people.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.